Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt podcast, where we cover the latest in poultry nutrition research and industry trends within 10 minutes or less. My name is Sam Rochell. I am an associate professor of poultry nutrition in the Department of Poultry Science at Auburn University. While I generally co-host this podcast with an expert in a particular field, today I'm going to provide a solo take on a specific topic. And that topic for today is going to be dietary energy. So dietary energy is a key driver of cost and performance of all types of poultry. And we've thought about the dietary energy for a long time, yet we still have a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of uncertainties and inconsistencies in the literature around how we evaluate and assess dietary energy. So I'm going to talk about energy in the context, or in a simple context of how we formulate feeds, which starts with what our animal needs in the terms of the nutrient energy concentration in the diet, what ingredients we have available to provide that nutrient or energy, and then how much nutrients and energy within the ingredient that we combine to formulate a complete diet to meet those needs. And so for the first topic, the first point of how much do our animals need, I think people are it's becoming more accepted that modern broilers don't respond to energy to the same magnitude and extent of previous decades. As we've seen the modern broiler be selected to respond very well and sensitively around digestible amino acid content, we don't see as much of a response to dietary energy, again, as the classic literature showed for other types of poultry. In our own lab, we've run recent experiments in the past couple of years, titrating energy, not necessarily to get a break point, but just to look at general responses around the levels that would be reasonable and practical formulation. And we're generally seeing around a 30 kcal per kilogram need for each change in feed conversion, each 1 point change in feed conversion. Again, those values may vary a little bit, but that's what we see in general. However, even when we feed lower energy, higher fiber diets to create a low energy diet, we still see performance that often meets or exceeds the breeder performance objectives. So even though we are getting some responses in energy, we still see very good performance even on lower energy diets. And so that leads us to the second topic of energy supply. Obviously, energy is primarily supplied by our cereal grains. They're going to be the most concentrated sources, along with the dietary fats, which have the highest concentration of energy. But we also have a lot of energy that come in from our protein ingredients. For example, in a typical corn-soy diet in the U.S., around 25 or 20% maybe of the dietary energy is going to be coming from soybean meal. And we have a very dynamic situation when we talk about energy ingredients in the U.S., as we see a big demand in feedstocks for renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel. So we see a lot of our traditional fat sources being diverted into these alternative uses. And so that's really increased the price of fat and has renewed interest in alternative sources of fats and oils that we haven't really emphasized so much here in the U.S. It also brings importance in evaluating dietary energy very accurately. And so we'll talk a bit more about that. And so that leads us to our third point of how we evaluate the energy content of individual ingredients as they're going to contribute to the complete diet. And so generally across the world, we're still using the system of apparent metabolizable energy, often corrected for nitrogen. We call it apparent because we're not correcting for the endogenous energy losses, which we know do occur. So we do the nitrogen correction because we assume that the protein tissue will ultimately oxidize. The nitrogen excreted is uric acid, which has an energy cost. And so that energy value is added back to the excreta, which lowers the energy value of an AME value compared with the uncorrected AME value. And so obviously this penalizes a bit high protein ingredients and birds that are under a higher state of protein accretion. And so that kind of begs the question of, is this valid for modern broilers that we're feeding in the field compared with other types of poultry where This may be less relevant, such as a mature leghorn rooster. An alternative to this is to do, say, a 50 or 60% nitrogen correction. This was introduced, I believe, by Dr. Leeson. His group had a series of nice papers in the early 2000s where they lay out the AME versus AMEN very well, in both the responses of the birds and how you formulate diets and the implications that has on diet costs and performance. So I would point you to those papers to learn more on this topic. So nitrogen correction, I think, is an interesting topic, and probably one of the things that we'll be looking at as a research community as we look to better standardize our energy values. And then obviously the hot topic is net energy, which would be even more accurate. And certainly when we think about the context that, metabolizable energy is around 77% of the gross energy. And then ME is around 75% of the metabolizable energy. Then it becomes clear that net energy probably gives us, or certainly does give us, a more accurate estimate. The issue is, to get the net energy values, we have to calculate the heat increment to account for that. And that can be technically complex. And there's only a couple of labs in the world who are working on this. You have the group at University of New England in Australia, and then my former colleague, Dr. Craig Kuhn, at the University of Arkansas, who are working on this. And because of the complexity, it becomes a bit impractical to evaluate every ingredient as routinely as we do for metabolizable energy. However, the goal is to develop prediction equations that can then be applied to different ingredients. And there was a nice net energy symposium this past summer at PSA. A lot of great talk from some of these people I've already mentioned. On the application and the basis of net energy. I think that made a very compelling story for the audience. And I think one of the better explanations of this in a practical sense was Dr. Parai Trichana from CP Group, who gave a very nice presentation around defining the net energy value of a number of different ingredients by varying in chemical composition, and then how they use those values to formulate diets and look at the economical impacts and the performance of the bird. And I think made a very nice story in a practical setting for net energy. So we'll soon know what the net energy or the fate of net energy is, but I certainly do think theoretically and agree that it is a big improvement over our current AME systems. In all of these assays, we have to think about how we include the ingredient into the diet. So to formulate, we need single ingredient values, not just the complete diet. And that can get complex because when we include the ingredient at a low level, we can balance the diet very well. But then when we calculate the energy coming from that particular ingredient out of the whole diet, the variability is quite high because it's producing a low, or contributing a low proportion of the overall energy of the diet.
With science-led solutions that are sustainable, proven, and effective, BASF helps you tackle the challenges of poultry nutrition. We offer high-quality feed ingredients that enable a more sustainable production and help you achieve your animal performance targets. We call it the science of sustainable feed that succeeds.
If we increase the energy or increase the inclusion of the ingredient, then we reduce that error, but then it becomes harder to balance the diet and ensure that the bird is in somewhat normal state of overall energy utilization. This is obviously the beauty, or one of the beauties of the precision-fed rooster assay, where you can feed the single ingredient and avoid all of these potentially confounding issues. However, single ingredients don't work when we're doing an ad libitum feeding for broilers, obviously. So very complex in all of these issues. Again, just to summarize, I think we still have a lot to learn, despite energy being a key concept that nutritionists have focused on for decades and decades, ever since we've been formulating to more precision and thinking about individual ingredients and understanding the energy content. So we have a lot to learn here. but a very exciting area. And I think we're going to see more developments and hopefully more standardization as we move forward over the next decade. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this and hope it generates some good conversation, and look forward to engaging with you further on this topic. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we're always searching for the latest and greatest research to share each week. And if you have a poultry nutrition related research trial and would like to come on the show and talk about it and share it with us, feel free to email the research link, the paper where we can find it, or the abstract to hello@wisenetics.com. That's hello@wisenetics.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.